Hey guys, I'm Michael.
And I'm CJ.
And I'm Jenny. And we are casting.
And such.
And Jenny is joining us today, as you might have heard just there a few seconds ago. We have another guest this week, because we upload on a weekly basis.
Information that the listeners will already have gathered from our weekly uploading schedule.
Listen, we create videos long before they go up, and before we've even planned anything out. Let's move on. Moving
on from our organisational structure, Jenny!
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good. Introductions are good.
Oh, we are the worst. Right, so we have asked Jenny to join us for a brief chat on strong female characters.
Brief.
Why was brief the funny word in that? Anyway.
I'd say brief is like 5 to 10 minutes. It's
Okay.
not going to be 5 to 10 minutes.
So, strong female characters. I think Jenny is a strong female character, and so she will discuss strong female characters with us.
Good, Jenny, you now have to talk for 45 minutes about strong female characters. Go.
So I am a strong female character, as Jane has already told you all. I can talk for 45 minutes about that, guys. You gotta give me some content.
Nobody can talk for 45 minutes about that. Right, so we have basically a loose paper list in front of us because, you know us, we don't like going anywhere without notes because that's not organised enough. And I think we'll go for the top of the list because when Michael was talking about writing his list for it, this was his automatic first thing.
Well, should we not introduce the idea of how we got to strong female characters and why that's an episode, first of all?
Oh, I guess. So
It all started with Disney.
It all started with Disney, as all good things do. So we were recording an episode of Disney which didn't go up because of technical difficulties in that Michael didn't switch the microphone to the actual microphone instead of his laptop microphone, and the audio quality was dreadful.
Yeah.
But in that episode, I went off on a major, not a rant in a bad way, but a rant about the good strong female characters that Disney has been producing lately.
Yeah, they've recently been taking a whole turn and being like, let's stop with the whole, princess being a damsel in distress thing, and let's very much make them princess who's choosing to, be, who's super kick-ass and
different, which I
different,
think is very important. They're not all the same, carbon cut out, look at me, I'm a pretty princess, and there's a prince, and I'm gonna have to marry someday, and they're straight up not that. They've all got different stories, different backgrounds. There's obviously the common Disney themes, but they're doing it well. And when we were sort of recapping that episode and going to re-record it in the episode that you will now have heard, we were like, maybe we should take that out and discuss that as a separate thing, which is when we got the idea of being like, we get Jenny to discuss this with us. Jenny seems like the kind of person that has good opinions on this. Jenny loves a good female character.
Yes,
a
I
strong
do.
variety. So that's kind of how we got here.
So, let's start with Disney then, shall we?
Okay.
Cool. And the first one, obviously, that started this list was Elsa.
Yeah.
Elsa. So, as I said before, Frozen is, it's a good movie. I don't dislike it. But I didn't think it got all the praise it should have. But CJ very correctly pointed out, Elsa was different. So different. Because it was a different thing of shit. Yeah, this is going to be repeating all what you just said. It wasn't about the whole meeting a prince and getting married and all that stuff. That's what Anna represented, but then Elsa was very strong, independent, and she sort of outcast herself.
Yeah, she broke the mold as far as Disney princesses go. I think Frozen was probably the only Disney princess movie we had where it was more focused on sisters as opposed to a romantic male-female, a non-romantic male-female in the case of things like Moana and stuff, where it was just very it was two sisters and that was the main focus on it.
Yeah.
And the eldest sister, who's the main character, if you will, is just a very strong-willed character who's full of flaws, as most strong female characters are, but she totally just broke that trend. There was never even... It's almost like the writers were like, we're not even going to attempt to throw a romance in at Elsa because she's not going to stand for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost sort of innately in her nature that you're like, I can't even imagine if Han started flirting with Elsa. That was never going to fly.
And she even kind of made the joke herself. You can't marry a man you just met.
Yeah, she got her head screwed on in a way that a lot of Disney characters did not previously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kind of verbally put her middle finger up at Disney.
in the nicest way possible, and
Yes.
she earned them millions and millions.
Yeah.
Jenny,
How do you feel about Frozen?
I liked Frozen. Do you know, I think I went into it with that sort of attitude of like it's just going to be another Disney film because, you know, all the little girls had the pretty dresses and all the mothers in the workplace were sick of the songs and it was just all the same thing over again. But I think you go and it is, yeah, different from what you would have had previously with Disney. I think they bring out a lot of things with Elsa and she kind of has a lot of responsibility thrust on her as well, and I think that's a lot of the focus is away from you don't need to marry a prince because you're already gonna be the queen and you've got to deal with that, and then she's obviously got all the other issues with, you know, dangerous powers, but there's a lot of different themes that they took on with that one, I think.
Yeah, I also quite like the fact that when she was first given the responsibility, her initial response was to lock herself in a room and not deal with any of it. Like, straight away she's just like, nope, I ain't like had my coronation day yet, I'm locking myself in this room and dealing with nothing. But she overcomes that, and that's, I think, going to be a theme of this chat, is that strong female characters have to overcome something.
I think it's very human as well, the way that was dealt with. It's like, you know, the grief of like losing your parents and having to deal with all these other responsibilities, and it's, you know, you're gonna have to rule the kingdom and all of this. You know, it's a very human way that you would just lock yourself away because nobody can just pop back from that straight away. There's it's a very kind of human reaction there as well, which is, I think, nicer because a lot of your damsel in distress kind of women are very much like, you know, especially in Disney previously, you're super pretty and like that kind of unsustainable image of what a woman should be, and it wasn't like that, which
And also, I think something, not to bash on those type of characters, but they very much have a nothing can dampen my optimistic attitude because someday my prince will come. Like, she just doesn't have that. She's like, sod this, I'm locking myself in a room. Like, ain't no prince gonna save me emotionally.
She gave everyone the cold shoulder.
Leave, Michael. Leave.
I'm proud of myself.
I'm moving on from Elsa before you make any more cold jokes.
Okay.
Right, let's pick another strong...
Yeah, I would
Disney
want to
one.
move on from there. I see on your list, so you mentioned that it was possibly the only Disney film, whatever, that concentrates on sisters. Now, the major backlash to that we always get is, what about Lilo and Stitch? Because that, of course, is two sisters, and you've got Nanny on your list there.
Yeah.
As, a very good, strong female character, but very different from Elsa, of course.
Yes, and it's, I think the reason that the movie is not, well, the movie Lilo and Stitch is not centred on that is because Stitch is one of the main characters and he ain't nobody's sister.
This is true.
But I think one of the best things about that movie, other than Stitch, 'cause Stitch is the best, is the relationship between Nanny and Lilo, and Nanny is a big sister.
Yeah.
You're a big sister as well, Jenny. What are your feelings on Nanny?
Well, thankfully, I've never been put in that situation before.
No.
So, yeah, I guess the big thing about Nanny is that she, I suppose in a similar way to Elsa, she's left with a situation where she's in charge and she's got to deal with that. She's got like a very young, impressionable sister who's a bit of a rebel.
Bit of an oddball.
Yeah, and a bit of an oddball, and she has to deal with all this, by herself.
Yeah, but she does like embrace all that Lilo's about, and as we discussed in the Disney episode, it was all about like, let Lilo be, let her be happy, give her everything she wants, not from a matter of like it'll, you know, keep her quiet, like as you would like give a screaming child a sweetie. It's give her all the things she wants because then I'll be happy. Like, and that was just Nanny's thing, was to help Lilo be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was never a, you're weird, you need to fix it, you need to fit in.
Yeah.
You know, it would
It
make
was-
it easier for yourself.
Yeah, it
you
was
know.
very much you be you.
You do you.
You
Just
do-
stop biting people, please.
Yes.
But she's a good big sister, and she does it all without a man. In fact, if anything, men like Cobra Bubbles impede her being essentially a single mother to her little baby sister, and I don't know, the fact that we see the vulnerable side in her as well before she thinks that she's about to lose her little sister and they're just having a little moment, having a little cry, like the fact that you see that vulnerable side, I think that shows that she is a strong character. Because I think she's not having to be this, you know, heartless, cold, I don't love anybody, this is just a blessing that I don't have to raise up this sprog, like, you know, she cares.
Yeah.
Which is what I think motivates her.
Yeah. You know who else has lots of motivation? Moana.
Oh, Moana! Don't even get me started. Somebody else talk about Moana.
Segues
'cause
are-
I'll not stop talking. Stop talking. I'll
Seg-
not stop talking.
Segways are good.
Segues are weird.
Yeah. Moana was great. Loved Moana. I don't even know. It was the whole like it wasn't even that she locked away from herself from her responsibility. She just like kept telling her dad that she didn't want the responsibility, and she was like, "No, this isn't what I want to do. This isn't for me." And her dad was like, "No, but you gotta do it. You gotta do the thing." And she just like, "Okay, bye," and she just leaves.
She makes like a tree and leaves.
Yeah.
I think she follows a different kind of female character, strong female character like that. I think a lot of their storylines are similar-ish in that, you know, they're getting pushed into something, or like you have. But I think a lot of the time it's like, you can't do this because you're a girl, and then they push past that and they go, "Yeah, I can. Like, you can't stop me." Whereas she's like it's not the same in that sense, but I suppose she has that kind of rebellious streak that a lot of them do have, that kind of determination and like, "Do you know what? You can't tell me what to do. I know what's right," or, you know,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna just have to do that."
Yeah. And I think one of the good things that one of the many good things that Moana did is that she was never told she couldn't do it because she was a girl. She was just told she couldn't do it, and it was like Disney were finally like, "Okay, we've got the strong female characters, so like, I'm a female, so I can, like, I am a woman, so I can do this." But she's literally just like, "I'm a girl, I'm going to do this. Whether I'm a boy or a girl, it's still happening." And I really like the fact that it's her gran that influences her as well. It's very much women being empowered by other women. Like, her whole mantra throughout the thing of like, "I am Moana from Motunui. Like, you will board my boat," and I can't remember it off the top of my head, but the fact that this is her entire mantra the entire time she's doing things trying to get Maui, like, it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious.
And the thing I love with Moana as well is that, again, in a lot of these films they have that romantic side note, and I don't think that takes away from a strong female character, and I think that's an important distinguishing feature, is that I think a lot of the time people see feminism and they see these strong characters and they go, "Oh, well, they have to be just this strong, like, woman who can look after herself and she don't need no man," but she can have a man, that's fine. But Moana doesn't have it at all. I think sometimes you feel that even with the strong characters, they've just got to have that romantic scene in there because otherwise it wouldn't be interesting.
Yeah.
Whereas they just don't do it, and she has this great relationship with Maui, and there's just no romance there at all as far as I can see.
Yeah.
And there was nothing intended, and it was just, but they still have such a great relationship, and I think that's really important as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good to sort of have that like almost platonic kind of thing going on with them. Like, not even that they were interested at all. Like, yeah.
I think sometimes they like to throw that romantic scene in just so the strong female character can be like, "No, I don't actually need you." And sometimes you'd be like, "Yeah, you know, she showed that she didn't need the man," or, you know, she liked the man but she had bigger things to be doing. But with that, there's not even that there. Like, I would say the most romantic scene is when Heihei decides that he is going in the sea. He will be in the water.
Yes.
He loves the water. He also hates the water, but he loves the water. Like, I'd say that's the most romantic scene in that entire movie. I love Heihei. He's a strong female chicken. He don't need no man.
What else I found quite good is, like, for these past three characters, there's one bit with Moana where, like, a ship's slightly broken and she's sort of left stranded. But at no point, now obviously, like, a lot of the time with Disney, it's all the very kind of damsel in distress kind of situation. At no point throughout the films did I ever, you know, find any of those three characters being helpless.
Yeah.
I never thought, wow, they are in a... Yeah, like, well, I thought, like, oh, they're in a tough situation, but I never thought, you know, they're never going to get out of this one, mainly because of, you know, cinema, you know, films.
Because #Disney, and they've got to get out
Yeah,
of something.
they will get out, but it was never like, oh, damn, they are, like, no, they're gone, they're lost.
Yeah.
But
I
no,
also like the fact that Moana's, like, actually physically strong. She sails a boat.
Yeah.
That ain't easy.
And
I couldn't do it. I would break in two.
And Heihei is there. I like Heihei.
And he helps.
Yeah.
He is second mate.
Heihei
Moana is...
appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use him as a rudder.
Well, I'm gonna go to another Disney female character, a little bit different this time, but it's the one that I put first on the list, Leia, Princess Leia. Now, the one sort of key thing that stands out is the difference between the end of Rogue One and the beginning of A New Hope. So when you've obviously first seen the beginning of A New Hope, like, we've all seen that first, but the end of Rogue One, she's on the ship, the Corvette, I believe it is. She's on the Corellian Corvette. And Vader has literally seen the plans for the Death Star go to that ship that he I think he pretty much must know that, you know, Leia's on it. He sees the plans go to that ship and it jump away, and then he chases after it, and then, you know, in A New Hope, we see the Corvette get, you know, taken by the Imperial Star Destroyer, and Vader walks in, he kills all the rebel guards, stuff like that, and he walks up to Leia, and he's like, "You have the plans," and she goes, "I have no idea what you're talking about." She just instantly, she knows that Vader's seen she knows that Vader's seen her. She just like, "No, I don't know about rebels. Who are the rebels?
What's
Come
a
on."
rebel?
Yeah, exactly. Who are you? Who's Princess Leia? And she just instant sass, and it's brilliant. And that's all it is throughout the whole films. Mm-hmm. And she rescues Han in episode 6, and the whole time she's like not even she's helping out the rebels tactically, you know, helping them plan wars and, you know, attacks on the ships, and she's actually there firing blasters at stuff. She was there on Endor when they're fighting, you know, trying to get the shield generator down. She frees Han from Jabba's palace. She's willing to have a thermal detonator explode and kill everyone. And then it moves to The Force Awakens, and she's, you know, still a general in the army that's helping defeat the First Order. And she's like more of a mother figure now to Rey. So she's like still badass and still, you know, helping fight wars and stuff, but she's still a caring character.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are your impressions of Leia from being a little girl and watching Star Wars? Because she was the female character in Star Wars that you had.
Well,
Like,
pretty much. She was I don't think there are any others in the first one. I think
She was that one. There was that one woman who danced at Jabba's palace.
oh yeah, she's my favourite.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with dancing for rich people.
No.
It's a good way to earn money and stay alive.
So you got to get your money somehow,
That's what you
right?
want to do.
Yeah.
I think it's a young girl who obviously, was just shown Star Wars at a very young age. You know, my dad was very into that sort of thing, and I think by the time we were young, there was more of that in the media. But I think that sort of thing is very important. I think for maybe, you know, when did Star Wars come out? I'm trying to think.
70s.
Yeah, I was trying to decide if it was like 70s or 80s, but you know, the difference between that and then, you know, late 90s or whenever I would have been watching it is probably quite significant.
Yeah.
I think it probably at the time, even though you think, wow, one female character, and I wouldn't say that there's no flaws, you know, with Star Wars in the way that it is portrayed, but you think for the time period that it was really probably
It was
kind
a
of
good
groundbreaking, do you
female
know? Yeah,
character
it was
to
somewhere
have
you
as
can,
well.
and you know, she is great. Everything that you've just said is entirely true, and I think you're watching it going, do you know, that's someone when you're young that you can identify with in a different way, and it's not, you know, you're like, yeah, she's pretty cool. I can roll with that.
And I think none of us were alive, obviously, when the original Star Wars came out and Leia was a thing, but we've almost seen a resurgence of that with the number of little girls who are so inspired by Rey and they want to be Rey.
Yeah,
I like to, because obviously she is the strong female character for this generation's Star Wars. Well, not our generation, the slightly younger generation Star Wars. So I kind of like to think that that's exactly what Leia was to this older generation.
Yeah, and I like to think, I think with Leia, as opposed to any other characters that we've been thinking about, that's the thing that's kind of spanning generations now, because obviously if it's come out in the 70s, then we've obviously seen it as children, but now, you know, almost 20 years later, we've now got like The Force Awakens, the reboot, and she's still there. Well, she was still in the sequels, playing a slightly different role, but still an inspiring character.
Yeah.
To a whole new generation. So
I think it's even the kind of thing you mentioned there about the decade that it came out, like around the 70s, all the kind of female characters you would have seen in films were all your kind of damsel in distress, your kind of, you know, well, except for like Ripley from Aliens, I guess. But, you know, they're all the sort of, you know, when you think of like that, the films that were coming out around that time, it was all the damsel in distress, the weak female that needs rescued. But Leia wasn't that. She was very, like, I don't know if brash would be the correct kind of word to use.
Strong.
Yeah.
She is just a very strong character.
That would have been like, everyone would have been like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah.
This isn't...
It's more like nowadays the market is slightly more saturated with strong female characters.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always of the opinion we can do with more. But I think for the time when she came out, there wasn't as much of a saturation with female characters, never mind strong female characters. So she would have stood out a bit more.
Yeah. shall we discuss something cartoony? Something differently cartoony than the other ones were animated, I guess. Oh, no, Nanny. Sorry, I'm just reading the list here.
Michael's just reading the list that we've already discussed, but that's fine. That's fine.
Full Metal Alchemist
Yeah.
is full of strong female
Metal
characters.
Alchemist.
It's full of Metal
Sorry.
Alchemist, yes, of course. It's full of lots of female characters. Strong in their own different ways. I've only seen through it completely once. Jenny, you added this to the list.
Yes.
Would you like to start with a character?
A character. You aren't going to talk about Riza Hawkeye because,
Yes.
like,
I'm actually
she's
surprised
just
you
who
didn't
I
just
want to
write
be.
Hawkeye.
But the point with FMA is that there are all these female characters, but they're all so different. So I think with Hawkeye, she's that typical kind of like, oh man, just be, it's her and Mustang in that relationship of like, oh, I'm gonna have to save your ass again. Like, you're just so useless, even though he's not. But yeah, it's that kind of.
You're useless when you're wet.
You would never think she would lose. She's that person that she's just so on top of everything. Very skilled and.
It's almost the kind of vibes I was getting from your characters that you made in D&D from the Wheel of Time thing.
Yes.
Is that the same kind of vibe that goes on there? Or?
Yeah, well, she's very different in that sense. I suppose you don't know about that Wheel of Time character very much. So the whole point of that character is that she is supposed to be like a hero who's continually reborn. So in that case, she's meant to be completely badass. Like, you're not ever meant to mess with her. Whereas Hawkeye has got the more human elements in there, I think. Very different characters, but they both have the Hawkeye thing, one being an archer and her being the sniper. Yes. I mean, you can't get enough of that kind of character. It's just that.
Yeah.
It's been done well once, so it's easier to do well many times. But it doesn't mean we're always gonna like them.
Yeah.
But the theme that we're noticing is we do tend to like a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because they're done well.
Yeah.
And I think the thing with Full Metal Alchemist that was the big point I want to make is I think Winry's a strong female character as well, and even though she is definitely not, like, you think of a lot of these characters, and if it's a kind of action anime or there's fighting or whatever, a lot of them are well equipped to deal with that. And in the case of Winry and Full Metal Alchemist, she's not.
No.
But she's still, I would say, a strong character in that she's strong-willed.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing, and she's also like an engineer, which is again with like young girls being told they can't do things
got
because
a lot of women in STEM.
Yep, pretty much.
And it's also the fact that, like, her one biggest concern is forever going to be Ed. Like, she's always like, oh god, I wonder what Ed's got himself into this time. And like, it's not even as though it's like, she needs Ed to be there. She's just showing that concern.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong, she does cry quite a lot.
Yeah, she's probably the closest to that stereotypical damsel in distress character there is, but there's that difference about her that makes her more than that.
And I think what's quite good about her is the reliance that our main characters have on her and her abilities.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Ed or Alphonse would have got anywhere near as far as they had without Winry. She, like, made Ed who he is with his arm and leg.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't really have him with all his abilities without Winry's help.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the fact that Ed is by no means a damsel in distress, but in a weird way it almost makes him a bit more like a damsel in distress. Because he needs Winry's help.
Yeah. Plus Winry would punch you in the face.
Yeah.
She could probably aim quite well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want a punch from Winry.
No. In other sort of anime veins, we do also have The Last Airbender kind of eras. No, it's not The Last Airbender, that's the wrong one. It's The Legend of Aang. Avatar. That kind of world.
Yes.
The Last Airbender's the terrible one that we don't discuss, right?
What's The Last Airbender again?
Good. So we've got that kind of world. I think we've got 2 from the Avatar series, and then 2 from Korra. One of them being Korra.
Yes.
Let's discuss the Avatar ones first. Toph. Strong in so many senses.
Toph Beifong.
She blind.
The 2-foot badass. She's probably not actually 2 foot, but she's very short.
She's about 3 foot.
She's basically looks like one of the most vulnerable characters you would ever meet. A spoiled little rich girl who is also blind and very young and fragile looking. And is one of the most powerful earthbenders, I would say, in the entire series.
I would say the most powerful.
She is a very well written character.
I would say the most powerful earthbender, because then obviously you've got the Avatar, but like if you pick just that specific type of bending, I'd say that she's just the top one.
She teaches the Avatar.
Yeah,
she teaches the Avatar. She learned from the original earthbenders, the Badger Moles, and she developed her own type of bending.
Two own types of bending, technically.
What was it?
She's
Seismic sense.
And metal bending.
Which I wouldn't really count as a type of bending, because you don't really bend anything with seismic sense.
You don't bend it physically. You don't, like, half the earth.
No, but...
She could, though. She could totally half the earth.
But no, Toph is just sort of like... Yeah, she... It's more that, like, she's got her own sort of physical detriments that she overcomes. I think that's the first kind of one that we've talked about that's got a physical detriment to them.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because none of the other ones are like, you know, frail or have this sort of, you know, it's not like they're missing any arms or anything like that, but Toph literally can't see through her eyes, using her eyes anyway.
Would you say there's one defining moment for either of you with Toph that make her like seem like a very strong female character?
I'd say when she's contained in that thing and like she first metal bends.
Yeah.
That would be the sort of big one. It's not even as though she's helpless. She still seems quite calm in the situation. She's like, what can I do? And then sort of like goes back to sort of her beginnings and was like, oh, there's impurities, there's earth that I can bend here. She goes back to her roots.
Similarly, right at the end when they're on a blimp and she can't feel a thing, she genuinely is blind.
Yeah.
And she still kind of manages.
Yeah, and that would be the kind of thing that would like, you know, really freak out most people. But she does it. She keeps going. She kicks ass.
Absolutely. I love Toph.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in the way that we're talking about strong female characters being important, you know, role models for young girls, for people to see, you know, representation in the media and whatever. But Toph does that not only for women but also for people with disabilities, because that's something that is really, really underrepresented, more so than women.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely one, you know, that's a really important thing to have in there.
Yeah. There's also Katara. Katara's a difficult one, because I don't know if I said before, I don't know what I said about Katara, if I would have put her on this strong female character list. But it's just sort of, with all Avatar characters, they all sort of go through a lot of growth, and Katara shows it quite a lot. But the one strong bit that I thought for her was bloodbending, the bloodbending episode, that she, you know, feels that she has to use it. Not that she has to use it, but she does end up having to use it and swearing that she'll just never use it again. But she does admit that she needs to use it in that instance. And that obviously takes quite a lot to do that.
What about you, Jenny? Your opinions on Katara? Is she a strong female character?
Yeah, well, I think what Katara shows is that she's grown up in a very male-dominated village where she's told that, as we were discussing earlier, she was very much, you can't do this because you're a woman, you need to help us with this, you can't join the fighters, we're not going to teach you that. Yeah. You know, and then when she goes to the Northern Water Tribe, they then tell her she can't learn to be a waterbender because she's a woman, and she just comes back, and that's probably my favourite Katara moment. She comes back to Paku and goes, no, like, I'm going to fight you. Even though she really shouldn't win, because he's like a master, and at that point she very much isn't. Yeah. But yeah, I think she's, you know, she faces that kind of, you know, anti-female oppression in a way that a lot of the characters there probably don't, because, you know, it's fiction, and a lot of them, you know, so it showcases that side of it as well. What I get annoyed with about the way that Avatar did is what they did to Katara when we get to Legend of Korra, and how she's just very much sidelined and just made into like the Avatar's wife. Yeah. And she doesn't really
She's a really skilled healer, which was the one thing she basically fought not to be. It's not that she didn't want to be a healer, it's that she wanted to use her skills to be a fighter. That was what she fought to get taught, because when she was with the Northern Water Tribe, they were like, you can go into the baby healing class, because that's what the women in this tribe do. They do the healing. And she was like, nah, you're gonna teach me how to like fight and be a proper waterbender. And then in Legend of Korra, she's this really skilled healer. It's not that it's not useful, it's just that it's a really big jump from being so adamant that what she wanted to do was be able to fight, because that's how she needed to use water, that's how she understood water. and then we hit this new Avatar cycle, and all of a sudden she's a healer, and that's it.
Yeah, and not even that. I think you get so many flashbacks of, like, you know, Toph heads the police. You know, she has this big future where she does all of these really cool things. Sokka is like chief of the water tribe and he does like a diplomat, and Aang obviously does all of his Avatar stuff. They all have his stories. He goes to Fire Lord, and she does nothing. You know, there's nothing that is showing that she's achieved except for to be the mother of 3 children and the wife of the Avatar. Like, I'm sure you could argue that that's just off screen, but then you give the other characters that time and then nothing for her, which is kind of a bit of a letdown.
She could have been a stronger female character, but that's not her fault. That's the writing that goes between seasons.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best way to phrase that, because when we were sort of trying to think of this list, Katara was not someone that came to my mind, but thinking on it more, I think that's more because as a female character she's not been written particularly strongly. That could have been on purpose. She might never have been intended to be a female, like a strong female character. She might never have been intended to be a female. Might never have been intended to be a strong female character, but I feel like she had the potential to be a stronger female character. Which is a shame.
Good.
I think I would want to I suppose we don't want to dwell on Avatar for too long, but yeah, Suki as well. I think she's very good.
Suki's great.
Yeah.
Just because she's very much, you know, the bit where she I think heads a lot of Sokka's development, and he is a sexist asshole when you meet him, and then by the end of it he really isn't. And I think she plays a big role in that.
I think she is probably the main role in that, because the sisters had her whole life to try and influence him, and then Suki comes along and she's like Sokka, she's not a bender.
She kicks his ass though.
She fights better than he does. She teaches him to fight, as well as other people, but like, you know, she breaks the mold of being a non-bending female who's like, oh, I'm just a warrior in inverted commas, and then she literally shows Sokka that she very much is a warrior and he can shut up. But she does it in a nice way, instead of being an asshole about it and being like, oh, we're going to write this overly strong, like, feminist character who's going to give feminism a bad name and show what it's not about. She doesn't do that. She just is very much like, I'm going to kick your ass, but I will also teach you. Like, I'm not above being an equal with you. You just got to get on my level. I like Suki.
Get on my level.
Get on my level, bruh.
Right. Next.
Right, Jenny, you pick someone.
Oh no. Don't make me choose a thing. I had added a few other things to the list, but I don't... Mostly because we're running out of other characters that I know who they are.
I think there's one that you have brought to the list that neither Michael or I had thought of, that you've put an exclamation mark after.
Yes, I have.
Which tells me it's important, so I think you should explain this one.
Yeah, so the one I added that we're talking about here was Matilda, which I actually, I don't know why I even thought of that, but I think I was thinking about very much like young girls, and your first, maybe the first character that would maybe come to your head when you're thinking about that sort of thing. And do you know, it's one of those timeless films that I go back to again and again and again. It's just so epically, I don't know, I love it so much. And I watched it a lot when I was young, and I think that is, well, what do you think? Have you seen...
No,
Michael's not seen it.
I've not seen Matilda.
You've not seen Matilda?
Not seen nor read Matilda.
Oh, awkward.
Yeah.
You can leave the cupboard.
Yay!
I think Matilda is one of those strong characters, both in that she overcomes a lot between her, you know, difficulties with her parents and being that whole, you're a young kid, you're not allowed to know these things, you're not allowed to be clever. And I think for a lot of young girls who... some of the people they see are just like slightly ditzy, or they are clever but like that's expected of them type thing. Like, she literally is like, no, this is who I am, this is what I'm going to be, you're not going to tell me how it's going to be, and it works out well for her in the end, which I think is important with younger kids, because obviously the idea of trying to encourage younger kids to do things, they're not going to do something if they know that it's going to have a negative outcome at the very end of it. So, like, when I was younger, if I thought that reading books and stuff was going to mean that I was going to be outcast and that's where it would stop, I wouldn't have done it. But with stronger characters like Matilda, who do get their happy ending as such, I think for younger girls, that's very important. And younger boys, to be fair. Strong female characters don't have to just influence young girls. They can also influence young boys, or, you know, people who don't fit into the girl-boy category. Like, the good thing about strong female characters, especially those that influence the younger generation is that the whole idea of them is that they just inspire you to like be yourself or do what you got to do, no matter what their thing is. So her thing's reading and being smart, but it's not really the message of it. The message of it is you do you.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Thoughts?
On Matilda.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's again just that kind of unapologetic, this is who I am and you can't change me. I think she comes in, she likes to go to the library and read books, and obviously the fact that she ends up with superpowers is not really all that, well, superpowers to an extent, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, our parents are like, no, you can't be this way. Our teachers are like, no, you can't be this way. And she always comes back and goes, well, do you know what? Yeah, not changing. And I think as a young person, that's, even if you weren't that kind of young girl who was into books and all the rest of it, it's still that kind of attitude of like not letting people tell you no.
Yeah.
like
And I
if
think
you wanted to be sporty, you'd be like, tough, I'm doing it.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's an important message for kids, which is if I specifically went for this one. Yeah,
Just out of the inspiration of just, it doesn't matter what you do, who you are, just be proud.
pretty much.
Okay. Which obviously applies to adults, but Matilda was a kids' Roald Dahl book, and the movie was a kids in inverted commas, because obviously, you know, it applies to adults, but it is a kids' book and a kids' movie, and it's aimed and accessible for children, which I think is very important.
Good.
And I think we're reaching that point where we're going to have to tail off our strong female character discussion.
Yeah.
There's only so much talking you can do about strong female characters in one small, stuffy, warm cupboard.
Yes, exactly so. Good. Is there any kind of funny aside that we have this week? I don't think so. I don't
You've
have any.
never read Matilda. That's not a funny aside, that's a shocking aside.
Yeah, we'll get to things. We'll do things, I don't know. Books.
Books. Oh, I'm now going to have the pancake making song for Matilda stuck in my head, so I can only thank you for that, Jenny. That has been top moment of the day.
Yep.
But I think we're going to end it with I have been CJ.
And I've been Michael.
And I have been Jenny, and we have been that thing that starts with a C, because I've also forgotten what it was called.
We have been casting.
And such.
Goodbye.
Bye.